What's up, guys? Dan here for BladeReviews.com with a special video where I am going to highlight some of the best EDC knives on the market at a number of price points. Oddly enough, one of the more popular parts of my website is the section on the best EDC knives that I have reviewed. And I guess people really like to just know what's my favorite, what do I recommend, what are the absolute best when it comes to everyday carry knives. So I thought it might be nice to record a little companion video. First and foremost, by no means is this an exhaustive list. I've bought and sold many knives over the years, and if you want to get a list of everything, past and present, that I've reviewed that I really recommend and enjoy, I would scoot on over to the website. I've got it all categorized. I have it so you can search and organize by price point, by blade length, by country of manufacturer, by steel type, pretty much every metric that you would really care about when it comes to selecting an everyday carry knife. Anyhow, without further ado, let's jump into it. I am going to loosely do this by price point, and what I'm starting with here are some of your more budget folders in the, say, $25 to $40 range. And again, by no means is this exhaustive. There's stuff like the Spyderco Tenacious that's absent here, and a few others. But let's roll through a few real quick. So I've got the Cold Steel Voyager. This is the medium Voyager. Nice knife, a little chunky, but for 35 bucks, just a great little blade here. I like this one so much I bought it twice. So I ended up giving this away a few years back, and then I bought another one for myself. We've got the Kershaw Skyline, just a classic. You couldn't talk about top EDC knives without the Skyline. Slim, affordable, made in the USA, an early flipper, not the best flipper, but you can still preload it and get the blade out. Lightweight, just a really practical, great knife. The Ken Onion Eros, stainless steel, kind of a newer offering from CRKT. This is a really nice little pocket knife. Again, I think around $30 to $45 maybe. Plain, which I like over the original Eros that had the sort of crazy handle texture going on there. Simple, sleek, great little blade, very fine tip, perfect for opening mail and boxes and things like that. Great knife. The SC Zancudo, a knife that I was surprised that I enjoyed so much, but this is really a phenomenal little blade for 35 bucks. I think you might even be able to find it on sale for less occasionally. No frills, very utilitarian, lightweight, affordable, just a no-nonsense everyday carry piece. The Emerson Kershaw collaboration. I thought that this was worth throwing in here. It is kind of heavy, which is my biggest gripe with it, being a solid stainless steel frame lock here, but it just brings Ernest Emerson's iconic designs and exceptional ergonomics at a very accessible price point. So maybe an honorable mention here. Cool budget knife for 35 bucks. I mean, what the hell? You really can't go wrong with something like this. The CRKT Swindle, another Ken Onion CRKT flipper. This is just maybe something of a dark horse for a top EDC knife, but it really is really cool for, again, 35 bucks. It's got 3D machined stainless steel handles, very slim, elegant, flips phenomenally well on IKBS bearings, another fine tip. You can get a lot of work done. Super cool, kind of a unique pocket clip here, which, you know, probably isn't my favorite aspect of the knife, but it works and it flows with the overall design. If you're looking for more of like a high-end sort of concept sort of knife here, but priced for anybody, the Swindle is well worth examining. Here's another awesome, affordable knife, the Rat 2, modeled after the Rat 1. Simple, no frills. Kind of reminds me of the Zancudo in many ways. Just a very simple, almost kind of ugly looking knife, but just gets the job done. 4-position pocket clip, lightweight handle scales that come in a variety of colors, simple liner lock that, while mine engages late, I mean the knife is fine, it's rock solid. Easy, accessible thumb studs, full flat ground blade with a drop point, just a no-nonsense little folder. Again, the price is right. Here's another kind of interesting offering that I happen to have. So I thought I'd share it. It's the Injection 3.0, so that's a Rexford collaboration with Kershaw. Cool, maybe a more high-end budget folder from Kershaw, featuring things like 3D machine G10 handles, a Todd Rexford design, a decorative oversized pivot, and but still has pretty solid fundamentals here. A nice pocket clip, 8CR13 MOV blade steel, simple blade shape, easy to access thumb studs, etc. So another good choice. Okay, so now we're moving on up to the $50 to $75, $80 range. You can see the herd is kind of thinned out a little bit. This is sort of an awkward price point, it seems. There isn't a whole lot that routinely comes out at this price range for whatever reason. You tend to find a lot more knives in the under $40 category or the $100 and above category for whatever reason. But there are some real gems here, so let's talk about them. First off, I've got the Buck Marksman, which is kind of another dark horse blade, a knife that you may not expect to see in a video like this because it is sort of a very niche knife, and just not your typical bread and butter folders that you'll find highlighted when people are talking about their absolute favorites. But it's a cool piece. I recently reviewed it. I think it's worth a mention here. Retails for around $75. Made in the USA. Designed by Grant and Gavin Hawk for Buck Knives. Comes with this interesting strap lock, which takes a little getting used to, but it's just a really fun knife. It's a flipper on bearings. Just rockets out like an assisted opening knife. I guess it technically is because this strap lock doubles as a spring, and a lot of fun. I was surprised how much I liked it. It doesn't hurt that it's made in the USA. Features 154 cm blade steel, aluminum handles. Really cool. Well worth checking out. The Benchmade Griptilian is probably more of a typical offering here when you're thinking about the $75 price point. Just a classic, iconic, American-made folding knife. Comes in 154 cm steel, although they do offer it in an upgraded S30V version. Comes with a thumb hole, any number of handle colors, and just a classic knife. Great little everyday carry piece here. I feel the same way about the Spyderco Dragonfly 2. It's another Rockstar EDC knife, coming in at around $50. It's made in Japan, features ultralight plastic handles with no liners, and a small but extremely capable VG10 blade. What I love about the Dragonfly 2 is how small it is, yet it's still fully functional. You can get a full grip on it even with larger hands like mine. So it's a knife that does a lot with a little, and for that reason it easily makes the list. Another kind of poor man's version of the Dragonfly 2 would be the Cold Steel Mini Tough Light, which can be had for $25. I couldn't find mine, but well worth a mention there. Another kind of interesting everyday carry knife from Spyderco in the elusive $50-ish price range is the Spyderco Pingo. It's a slip joint, which is different from the other knives that I've reviewed here or am presenting here. It's made in Italy, which is also kind of interesting, but perhaps most interesting is that it's a collaboration between Jesper Voxness and what's his name? Anzo. Okay, Jens Anzo, of course. I'm sorry, forgot there for a second. But two Scandinavian designers, just monsters in the custom knife world. So it's really cool to get both of those designers their hands on this knife, and then made by Spyderco. Fun little EDC option. Again, around 50 bucks, so I decided to throw it in here. One of my favorites is this Cold Steel American Lawman. This is definitely a heavy hitter for, again, around 50 bucks. It's made in Japan, or excuse me, Taiwan. Features Aussate blade steel, which they are apparently upgrading to CTS XHP, which is phenomenal. I don't know what it'll do to the price. Probably raise it a little bit, maybe bump it up towards $75 or $80. But this version in Aussate has seen a lot of use, and just a great no-nonsense everyday carry knife. Full G10 handle, no liners, so it's nice and lightweight. A robust and simple blade shape, high hollow grind, a substantial work knife, just a great tool. And for 50 bucks, you can't go wrong. Perhaps another good honorable mention that I don't have in front of you here is the Kershaw Blur. Made in the USA, comes in a variety of configurations. It's a speed safe assisted opener, which for me isn't a huge plus, but some folks will like that. That's another classic knife at this price point. Okay, so now things really start to get interesting at the around $100 mark. I would say $90 to maybe $140 would be the retail price of this next group of knives that I'm going to share. First up, I've got the Benchmade Griptilian, which at one point, maybe 5 years ago, was a $75 knife. Today, I'd say it's closer to $90 if you can, if you're looking to buy it new. So that's why I included it in this group. It's a little bit more expensive than the Mini Griptilian for obvious reasons. There's more material, so they've got a higher cost there, maybe more machining time since it's bigger. I don't know. Either way, it's more expensive, but just a classic knife. You can see mine has got some use on it, and I've really enjoyed this knife. Made in the USA, 154 cm blade, simple plastic handles, which some people really hate, but I don't mind. The Benchmade Axis lock, simple pocket clip, so really a nice piece. The Benchmade Volley is another, obviously it's a Benchmade, but it's kind of like a higher end Griptilian for those that really complain about the plastic handles of the Griptilian. I might recommend the Volley. It's got upgraded G10 handle scales, nested steel liners just like the Griptilian. They're actually closer to full liners, so it makes for a stronger knife. Originally the Volley came assisted, but it's easy to de-assist the knife if you're like me and prefer a manual action knife. An S30V blade, nice and thin, the grind and the stock, so it slices phenomenally well. I mean, if you're looking for a slim, higher end, USA made, premium everyday carry knife or larger utility knife, I think you'd be hard pressed to find much better than this Benchmade Volley, except for perhaps some of the other knives that I'm about to show you. But just a great knife, not to be underestimated, and I think it definitely earns a spot here. The Spyderco Sage 1 is another one of my all-time favorites. This is a knife that I've had for quite a while, carried and used it for years. It is a CPM S30V blade, made in Taiwan, simple, elegant. It has a faux carbon fiber handle, a wire clip, just an ingenious little classic Spyderco design, and beautifully executed. Priced appropriately at around $100. Tough to beat this one too, especially if you're looking for something a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more non-threatening. The Hogue EX04, I think, at least deserves an honorable mention on this list, and you might as well substitute in a Hogue EX01. Basically, they're the same knife. Well, they have their differences, but they're G10 handled, 154 cm steel bladed button lock folders designed by Alan Elishewitz. The Hogues have amazing fit and finish. I mean, the engineering and execution on these knives is phenomenal. Made in the USA. This version happens to be my favorite, with the all black, simple handles and the double hollow ground blade. Really nice, really cool knife. A little bit more expensive than some of these others. Maybe you can get into one of these for $130, $140, but well worth it, I think. Finally, where would we be if I didn't at least mention the Spyderco Paramilitary 2? This is another workhorse knife. It's been in my collection for years. Much appreciated by many a collector and enthusiast. This is a no-nonsense folder from Spyderco. Made in the USA, S30V blade, ultra big spider hole here, G10 handles, nested steel liners, compression lock. For many folks, this is widely considered to be, the best EDC knife. Lots of people would probably pick the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and for good reason. It's just a phenomenal knife. Alright, so we're moving on up to knives that retail for, say, $175 to $250. You can see I only have 2 examples here, but I will briefly touch on a few others as I show off a couple of these higher end everyday carry knives. And this is where you start to get into stuff like titanium frame lock flippers, like these here, both with bearings and all the fixins that you might appreciate on a higher end everyday carry. First up, the Hinderer Zero Tolerance 0562 CF. This one weighs in at around $240 if you're going to buy it new. Bowler M390 Super Steel for the blade, real carbon fiber for the handle, titanium frame lock, the KVT caged bearing system. This is just a really sweet knife, and when you start to spend that kind of money, you really do get a little bit more than some of the other knives. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all perfectly serviceable and will more or less cut the same, but you start to get kind of the extra trimmings here that I've already run through. Things like this stainless steel lock bar insert and an oversized decorative pivot, made in the USA, very well tuned, so just a great flipper and a lot of fun. Honorable mentions might be basically any of the Rick Hinderer ZT collabs. Personally, I find the original 560 to be a bit much for everyday carry. I can get away with this one, although it's still on the larger side. Also, the ZT881, some of the other higher end collaborations with zero tolerance going in at around $200. There's a number of them, and they're all very good. Right here we've got the Spyderco Domino, another obviously frame lock flipper. I think this one goes for, geez, I don't know what, $225 maybe more, maybe less. I haven't checked in a while. Again, very similar to the ZT here. You've got your stainless steel lock bar insert, caged bearings, titanium frame lock. This has got a faux carbon fiber handle scale, CTS XHP blade, which is very nice. A cool little flipper. I mean, if you have some money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to get into something like a titanium frame lock flipper, around $200 you can get some pretty cool stuff. Other honorable mentions, maybe the Spyderco Techno, maybe the Spyderco Southern flipper, if you're a fan of slightly larger, chunkier flippers. There's a bunch of other stuff, maybe a few Benchmades up here, just kind of more expensive versions of the Griptilian and Volley. Those could be considered equal here, or just as deserving to be in front of the camera here. I just don't happen to have any at the moment. So those are what you would find at the $200, $175 to $250 range. Okay, so now I want to talk about the $300 plus range, and as you can see, I only have a single knife here. I did have some others that would definitely be worth talking about, so I will talk about them at this price point, but I ended up selling them off to buy other stuff, to pay for bills, things like that. But what you see here, of course, is the Chris Reeve Knives Menandy, which is just a beautiful little gentleman's folder. It's a titanium, basically it's a titanium frame lock. It's got this inlay, but for all intents and purposes, it's basically a frame lock. Beautiful, sexy little knife, sleek, hollow ground blade. This one's got S30V blade steel. The newer versions have S35VN. This has got the 3D machined pocket clip. I believe these are maybe African blackwood handle scale, some sort of exotic wood. Two-tone titanium for the liner material here. Super nice. You might as well throw in the Spyderco, or excuse me, not the Spyderco, the Strider PT and the Chris Reeve Small Sabenza here. Those are two other awesome everyday carry knives, again at the $300 plus price point, depending on what exactly you're getting, where you're buying it. So, well worth it. And you might as well throw in the large Sabenza if you carry a larger pocket knife, or the Strider SNG would be fine here as well. And if you want to reach up even higher, you could go to something like a Hinderer 3-inch XM18, maybe a 3.5 if you can, justify carrying that every day. As far, it's a rather big knife. Some people can. I personally found it just to be a bit much for my uses, but there's some fun stuff to explore at this $300 and up range. Of course, you can get into a lot of mid-tech offerings. A lot of knives from Russia, like the Shirogorov, would be, perhaps something. It's huge. I really wouldn't call it an everyday carry knife, but there is all kinds of mid-tech and custom offerings there that would cater to pretty much any budget. So the sky's the limit once you blow the doors off the $300 knives. So I've got one last kind of class, and I'm going to pull the Menandy off and move over to that now. So the final class of everyday carry knives that I wanted to touch on this video on the best everyday carry knives is your traditional folders. I've first of all got a classic Victorinox Alox Cadet. This is a $20 pocket knife, but it may very well be my favorite of the bunch. I mean, you really can't beat this, especially $1 for the amount of utility that you're getting here. I mean, not only is it an awesome knife, but you've got a couple bottle openers, a can opener. This one's got a file and a little screwdriver. So awesome little everyday carry knife. It's not a locking knife like the Pingo. These are all slip joints. So something different. You don't necessarily need a locking folder for most everyday carry tasks. I guess if you're a police officer or work at a warehouse or something, you may very well need it. But for my purposes, I could probably just get away with any one of these. Next up, I've got a GEC Viper. This one has been beaten on a little bit, probably a little sacrilegious, honestly, but a fun slip joint, bigger slip joint. I don't have a lot of these, so I thought I would pull out the GEC Viper. Really cool. Here's something. This is the Northwoods Indian River Jack. Obviously another slip joint traditional knife, but what's cool about the Indian River Jack is that it features a CPM 154 stainless steel blade, and that is different from most of GEC's offerings. They use a lot of carbon steel, which is fine, but it patinas, it rusts if you're not careful, and it certainly won't hold an edge like this CPM 154 blade. So really cool. This was an exclusive with knives shipped free, and this is the 2014 version. So if you were to buy one now, if you can, they're going to be slightly different because they continue to update and release small batches of this knife, but really cool if you can get your hands on it. And then here's another really nice little gentleman's folder. This is the Fantoni Dweller. cool knife. I think I paid maybe $130 for it, and I love it. I carried this every day for maybe 6 months when I first got it. I mean, just a fun little knife. Comes with a little leather slip pouch, which is what most of these traditional folders, you can put them in one of those, and it helps keep them from getting beaten up, and it's really fun. Another slip joint, simple, kind of funky. I like how the blade is much shorter than the handle. It really kind of gives it an endearing quality that none of my other knives have, so it's just a little bit different. And for that reason, I've really come to enjoy the Dweller. Phenomenal cutter, too. I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing about these traditional folders, is that they're ground super thin. They're thin pieces of steel. They're full flat grinds, and they slice like crazy. I mean, they probably cut better than most of the other knives I've shown you. I mean, sure, there's exceptions to every rule there. Some of the knives I've shown you are just fantastic cutters, but these little slip joints are about as good as it gets if you're really looking for a slicer. Alright guys, that will do it for the best EDC knives, at least the ones in my possession. I'm sure I forgot a few. I mean, there's tons of great everyday carry knives, and that's half the fun of collecting pocket knives, is figuring out which ones you really enjoy, getting to experiment and try out different blades, different blade steels, different manufacturers, and really zeroing in and seeing what your preferences are. I've kind of shown you some of my preferences, and I might be a bit biased. I guess we all are. We all have the things that we like and the things that we don't. So by no means was this an exhaustive video, but hopefully it gave you some sort of overview. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. And I appreciate your watching. Again, for a full list of all the knives recommended, and probably quite a few more, easily sorted and categorized, all with links to full in-depth reviews, written reviews, and video overviews and video reviews. Click the link below, check out the website BladeReviews.com, and have fun. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.